Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video, not ever, but like in a very long time. I am new to BookTube. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I just kind of wanted to jump right in. So I'm going to start with a February reading wrap up. I read 7 books this month. Most of them were romance, a few were romantasy, and then I had one that was Greek mythology, or like Minoan mythology, I guess, in some ways, but Greek mythology pretty much. Of those 7 books, 4 were 4-star reads, and 3 were somewhere between 3 and 4, so 3.5, 3.75, whatever. And I also had one DNF, which I will talk about. She might be a little bit of a controversial one, we'll see. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book that I read in the month of February was called The Flame King's Captive by Chloe Chastain. This was a romantasy book, but more focused, I would say, on the romance part than the fantasy aspect. Still very good if you want like a fantasy side of it. I think that it does it pretty well. Probably not the most extensive world building, but it's pretty good. I gave this book 4 stars, which honestly I didn't go in thinking that it was going to be a 4-star read. I think I had thought maybe it was going to be a 3-star read, but I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised. If you like Fated Mates, if you like Omegaverse, if you like pining, touch her and die, that type of vibe, this book is definitely for you. It focuses on 2 characters, Isabel and Zabriel. Zabriel is a flame king, he's a dragon rider, he's the king, whatever, you know, pretty self-explanatory a little bit. While Isabel is something, I can't remember, honestly, it's really like not that important. She's taken from her village, abducted by the Brotherhood or the monastery, something. She's abducted by villains. And at the very beginning of the book, this is not spoilers, this is just very beginning of the book, smack dab, 3 pages in, but she is saved by Zabriel, and the pining, the angst, and the romance goes from there. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, the romance was amazing. The fantasy aspect, I just want to see more of, and I want the fantasy aspect to be a little bit more developed. The sequel comes out March 13th, I believe, so keep an eye on that. After that, I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break from romance, romantasy, all of that, so I picked up Phaedra by Laura Shepperson. Yes, that is her name, Laura Shepperson. I was very, very surprised to, after I read this book, find out that not a lot of people liked it. It had like something like a 3.31 on Goodreads, which I don't see very often. Even like some of the worst books I personally ever read have had like 3.6 or higher. So I was very surprised to see that this one had 3.31 because I really, really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It follows, if you've read, oh my gosh, I have the book. If you've read Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, this follows her sister, Phaedra, and it's basically the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, but from Phaedra's perspective, and her marrying Theseus and what that's like being in Athens at the time. It is promoted as a feminist retelling of Phaedra's story. It is not. Let me be very, 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 very clear. It is not that. If you're looking for something that's like Circe or like Ariadne, you're not gonna find it in this book. I think if you go in, and this is something that I saw with a lot of the reviews that didn't particularly care for it, was that they didn't like that they went in expecting a feminist retelling and it wasn't that. So I think if you go in without that expectation, it will be really good. The other thing that I heard a lot of people talk about that they disliked about this book was that it has multiple perspectives in the book. You follow a multitude of different women and one man. Some of the characters stay, some of them don't. I didn't mind that. I actually liked it. I thought it added some depth to the world. There was only one character where I was like, I don't understand what purpose her point of view serves to the story. But Other than that, I really, really liked this book. I think you just go in ready to be sad. And yeah, give it a chance. Give it a chance, guys. The next book I read has been all over the internet over the past month because it came out this month. It came out, I believe, on February 6th. And I had not heard of it before. I had not read any books by this author, even though she's a very popular author. But because I am into like Omegaverse, Fated Mates, all that stuff, that's like it's my cup of tea, I ran to the bookstore to pick this up, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This book follows an arranged marriage between a vampire and leader of a werewolf clan, and shenanigans ensue, found family ensues. There's a mystery, that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to like spoil anything. I really liked this book. I thought that the main character, Misery, was really funny. I loved her personality. I actually liked the main guy for the most part. The plot wasn't, outside of the romance, the plot wasn't that great, I'll be honest with you, but it doesn't really matter. It's just fun. And if you go into it wanting to have fun, you'll have fun. And I liked it. I really, really liked it. Definitely worth the time and worth the read. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Now, the next book that I read. I don't even know where to begin with this one because a lot of people love this book, swear on this book, die by this book. I could not have hated it more. And this was my one DNF for the month. Magnolia Parks. I cannot stand this book. This book made me want to throw it across the room 90% of the time that I read it. I mean, granted, the first 100 pages were fun, cute and fun, but I hated all the characters. I hated Magnolia. I hated the stupid little ramblings of everything they were wearing because it was the most tedious thing. It wasn't written well. Let's not even talk about Mr. BJ fucking Valentine. Put aside the name. Put aside the name. He's awful. He's awful. And when I went online and saw people rooting for him, I was so confused. What about him is redeemable? I saw spoilers. I'm not going to share them here. But what he does is irredeemable. It's screwy. And maybe I'm triggered. Maybe life experience has jaded me to this book. But this was not cute. He was like every guy I met in college. Once I found out spoilers, not only just about this book, but about the books after it, I had to quit. I will not be continuing with this. I couldn't even finish this one. I got 300 pages in. So after that, I definitely needed a palate cleanser. I needed something sweet. I needed something wholesome. And who was there to save the day but Flawless by Elsie Silver? This book served. It wasn't a 5-star read. It wasn't a 5-star read. It was never going to be a 5-star read, but it was definitely a 4-star read. I loved this book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was so sweet. Cowboy romance. This is about, I'll just read you a little piece of the back synopsis. So the rules were simple. Keep his hands off his agent's daughter and stay out of trouble. But now he's stuck with her and there's only one bed, and well, rules are made to be broken. Not to mention he's a bull rider. If you read a romance about bull riding, please let me know because I want another. This is great. So sweet. Just if you want something wholesome and loving and awesome, this is the book. 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read the sequel, Heartless, by Elsie Silver. This one follows Rhett's brother, Cade. He's older. It's a single dad romance. Everyone told me that this was the best book or one of the best books out of the series. It was good. It was good. But I definitely liked Flawless more. And I'm not sure, this might be a little bit of my mood reading. I'm very much a mood reader. I have to want to read a certain genre or a certain vibe in order to get the most out of it. And after Flawless, I had kind of scratched that itch from that, Magnolia Park created for me. So this book didn't hit maybe like I wanted it to. Still good though, still really good. And I think because, you know, a lot of people really love this book, a lot of people say it's their favorite in the series, definitely give it a try for yourself. I gave it personally 3.5, I believe, out of 5 stars. So definitely still good. Maybe wasn't my favorite, but it might be yours. The next 2 books that I read were, one was on Kindle and then one was in print. The one that I read on Kindle was the first that I finished, so I'll start with that. I read The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Lori. This is the second book in the Maid series. The first one, I forgot the name of it. I think it was like, I don't even remember the name of it, quite frankly, because I didn't like it. The Maddest Obsession, I wasn't intending on reading for the longest time. I read the first one years and years ago, but I wasn't intending on reading this one because I didn't like the first one. But I saw a quote on TikTok that changed the game and I knew I had to read it. It immediately went on my TBR and I took a month before I read it, but I did read it. And my final rating of it is 3 to 3.5. Not the best book, but definitely better than the first one. I really liked Gianna as the main character. She was so funny. Christian Alistair, I was like, he was there, you know? He was definitely giving like Touch Her and You Die vibes. I mean, literally. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fine. It was okay. I really don't have that much to say about it, quite frankly. And then the final book that I read in the month of February, I actually finished this yesterday, so very much last book. The Wicked Kingdom by Kerri Maniscalco. I picked up this book because I wanted to move a little bit away from just traditional romance. I was just getting burnt out on the genre, and I knew this had romance in it. This was a little bit of romantasy. It didn't really actually have that much romance in it, if I'm honest. Like, I had some scenes that could suggest romance, but it wasn't anything like I was expecting. I gave this book 3 stars, just a flat 3 stars. I really liked the beginning. I thought the concept was interesting, but the execution was not great in this book. This book follows Emilia DiCarlo. She is a witch and she has a twin sister named Victoria, and Victoria is murdered. And so basically this book is a murder mystery. She's trying to solve her sister's murder, and while she tries to do that, she gets entangled with the 7 demon princes of hell. More specifically and most commonly, she is around the Prince of Wrath, who they just call Wrath. His name is just Wrath. But yes, so she kind of gets entangled up with him, and we go from there trying to solve her sister's murder. Like I said, I thought that the concept was really cool. There were moments that I really liked. A lot of people said they didn't like all of the cooking references. I loved them. I thought the magic of it all and all of this spell stuff would have been interesting if it had been developed and built out more and came more slowly. Like, it just felt like everything was so rushed and it made things confusing. There was so much happening all at once. You couldn't really get a grip on it. Maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know, but like, I just couldn't keep up. I could not keep up with what was going on. I could not keep up with who we thought it was now, and then now we're thinking it's someone else 2 chapters later. And then she's fighting this and she's fighting that. And not only that, but everything was incredibly easy for her. It just felt so, it just didn't feel like the writing could hold up to the concept. That said, I am interested in reading the second book and continuing the series. I do feel like this book has potential, and I've heard the second book does pick up and is a little bit better. My fear is that the writing style, because the writing style is my issue and not necessarily the concept or the plot, I won't enjoy that either, but who knows? I'll give it a try. Not really at the top of my TBR list, but it's there. I put it on Goodreads, and if I put it on Goodreads, I'm thinking about it. It's in my head, it's in my brain. Just don't know when it'll translate into me reading it. But pretty cover, very pretty cover. Love the cover, but yeah, just a 3 star. So that was the 7 books that I read in the month of February. I hope you enjoyed this first video. If you do, come back and watch me again. I'll be back throughout the month, or at the very least next month. Thank you for joining me, and listening to me ramble about books. Can't wait to do it again. So, bye!